Hey, this is Tanya. Welcome to Girl Call Me, the podcast for, by, and about Black women. We hope you enjoy today's conversation as we chat about all things health, relationships, and life. We'll have you laughing, testifying, and most importantly, feeling seen and whole as the beautiful Black woman you are. Now on to the nonsense. You know what?
Hello.
I am so excited. First, I want to thank all of our listeners. We do love saying that, but we have to keep saying it because it's true. We are so grateful. I don't know about you, but I am really excited about the eclipse. Are you excited? I mean, we only
I
saw
think you
partial
do
because we.
know. I think you do know about me.
Listen, it was partial, and maybe we all stopped everything we did for about 2 hours, and maybe we traveled and spent money to go to Texas and go to Mexico, and maybe it
Bless,
feels like it was unnecessary. But let me tell you, I thought it was phenomenal. I loved it.
blessings. That's wonderful.
Lots of blessings, lots of blessings.
Thoughts and blessings to each his
I mean,
own.
right, and you know why I thought, you know what? Listen, this happens every 20 years. We have this opportunity to stop and appreciate in something that's just greater than us. And I'm so into that. What about
Yeah.
you?
I'm trying to stop and appreciate things more often than every 2 decades, but I hear you. Because wasn't there one
Shade.
7 years ago that was similar to what we saw here in California 7 years ago?
Nobody cared about that one.
Oh,
No,
okay.
I'm just joking. I
No one
actually, I stopped. I remember stopping, and I remember getting my glasses and enjoying that one just as much as I enjoyed this one. But
good. Yeah.
tell me why will you let us know a little bit why it was so. I don't know. You didn't get into it the way most of us all got into it.
Look, it's no shade to people who got really into it. Look, that is what it is. That has nothing to do with how I feel about it. I will put my tin hat on for
Oh
this.
Lord Jesus, no,
The
please no.
idea that it's like you can't look at the eclipse with a naked eye
You can't. There's
but
doctors who are talking about that.
no, no, no. I get that part. But that we put a little we can buy a pair of glasses
NASA
at
approved.
7-Eleven with like a piece of
It's
film
not.
strip over our eyes, and that's gonna then okay, don't worry. As long as you have this old Polaroid film that you put in some paper glasses, you're good.
Okay. Okay, so we're gonna
We should
move
have a
on
cure to
from
cancer.
that.
If we have something where we can stare at the sun without it burning our retinas and whatever, but and everyone we can produce them every 20 years, for everyone to have on demand. There's a like I
Okay,
have
we're
questions.
off
Can you use
live.
the same
Stop.
glasses that like from a 3D movie and for the
No,
eclipse?
no, no, and oh. But what I am doing with the glasses that I purchased, I'm actually donating them. So what you do is you can donate them for little kids who in areas that actually have these type of occurrences throughout beyond every 20 years. So you think about donating those glasses that you got to kids and other areas. And I'm actually serious about this.
I hear
But
you.
she's
How often?
laughing.
What
She's
are the
laughing.
places no, honestly, I'm wondering, I've never heard of this. What are the places that have them more often?
I'm not even sure.
I did not know
All I
this.
know is there was a Times Magazine article and says, "What should you do with your glasses now?" And it said it had a place that you can go and donate it, and it goes to whether it's kids programs or whether it's other areas. And I said, "Yes, I'm putting mine in the mail. Done."
Wonderful. Well, that's
Yes,
good.
it's time
I
to
have
move
questions.
on. So let's talk about the exciting. It's something that you actually are happy about and excited
What's that?
about. Our
I'll s
amazing guest. Introduce
yeah,
our amazing guest.
yes, happy to start us off. So, um, thank you for joining us, everyone, and we are excited again. We're on a streak. We have had some wonderful
Mhm.
guests come to join us, and today's guest is no exception to that. I am excited to introduce Keri Harvey to our podcast, A Girl Call Me. We called, she answered. And
Mhm.
Keri's a certified personal trainer and a pain free performance specialist. She began her career in personal training after her own fitness journey transformed from aesthetic, focused on working to feel strong and capable in everyday life, which I absolutely love. She moved from Texas to New York in March of 2022 because she had a desire to be part of positive changes that a gym called Form Fitness Brooklyn was making in the fitness industry. Plug, if you do not follow them on Instagram, you absolutely
Yes.
should. Most recently, Keri was introduced to powerlifting and she competed in her first sanctioned meet where she was awarded first place in her weight class. Okay, girl. So she is just checking all the boxes. In addition to one on one training, she's had the privilege to be featured as one of Self Magazine's everyday athletes and collaborated as a fitness expert in Shape, Self, Live Strong, and Women's Health magazines with an ultimate goal of helping cultivate an inclusive and welcoming environment in the gym for everyone to leave feeling strong and powerful. So, I mean, how exciting is all of that? And I'm so, so thrilled that Keri decided to join us. Keri, anything you want to add? I mean, if you have extra things to add to that, girl,
Okay.
I don't know where we're going from here, but anything you want to add to that?
I don't have anything to add, but thank you for having me. I'm excited to get to chat with you both today.
Yes. Well, good. We are excited to chat with you.
Before we kind of go into it, I'd love to hear, Keri, what you are most excited about that's happening, whether it's in the news or, any kind of current event. What's most exciting for you?
Can this be personal as well?
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
let's bring it.
Yeah.
Oh, let's go. Let's go
All
deep
right.
quick. Yes, I love that.
I think this one is on my mind because I just came from a run, but I'm currently training for my first 5K. And
Love that.
yeah, this is coming from a place of like being terrified of running and cardio in general. So the fact that like today's run went really well because I paced myself and slept well last night, and I'm not like as fearful of it that it creates like these physical reactions to it, is very exciting. So I'm kind of riding that excitement today.
Oh, nice.
Wow. Yes, we're
Yeah,
going to give you lots of love about that.
Yeah.
thank
Do
you.
you have, we can keep with the thread of running. Do you have any running, good, bad, ugly, scary
well,
stories?
it's funny because and it's a past life. I used to do a lot of 5Ks. I've done at least one half marathon, 10Ks, and so but it all started from me walking. So it was like I'm just going to see how fast I could walk. And I think the best thing for me was having a community that I could do it with. And it wasn't a community that judged me. It was a community of my really good girlfriends, and we were all almost starting the same place. And so we could go to these races together. And sometimes, being the only Black woman of size, it was also helpful to have support. And they'd
Mhm.
encourage me. And if I couldn't, like most of the time, they were maybe a little bit faster than me, but community was really helpful. So I hope you have someone that has signed up with you that can do the race with you because it's also kind of fun.
Yeah, I do. Thankfully, I have we're trying to make it a form fitness event. So I've
Love
guilted a few
it.
people into
Love
maybe
that.
guilt isn't the right word, but yeah, I got a few
Yes.
people on my.
You got to come
That's
and
the
do an
best
LA
way.
one, and me and Jessica will join you.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
That's the best way is bringing people along. That's when I ran my first half marathon. Uh, that sounds extreme. I've run 2, the first of 2. So let's
You're like,
um,
let's not go far.
right. Was definitely someone being like, "Come on." I had done 5Ks and 10Ks, but someone was like, "Come on, let's do this half marathon." And I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah." And then it was in San Antonio, so she was like, "We'll make a trip of it. We'll do all these things." And yeah, I shout out to Sarah because by mile 10, I was like, I hate everything about this city, about this race, about you who invited me. I was like,
Poor
all I
Sarah.
want is the barbecue at the end of this and, whatever. But yes, running is definitely scary. I'm the opposite of community though. I was like, oh, I'll do this, but no one is going to see me train. No one is
Really?
going to. Yeah, I did it all by
Okay.
myself, and just like
Okay. We're
both
so
times I ran.
opposite.
Yeah, both times I'm like, no, I'll do the whole thing by myself, and I'm just going to show up, and I'm going to do well. So, yes,
Good for you.
I
I
know.
Love
I'm
needed
that.
somebody to scream at
I
me.
mean,
I always,
you're saying
but
good for
let's,
me, but I said at 10 miles I had a breakdown and no one knew it was coming. So maybe it would have been helpful had I like clued some
right.
people in before that I was scared.
That's so
That's a good
funny.
point.
You know, we've had a lot of guests on lately talking about kind of self-care, and physical activity has come up in probably every episode we've done about wellness or aging well or stress or self-care, which has been, I think, really beautiful because it's come up in a way very much like you said, not from an aesthetic place, but really just like how can activity help you be the best you. And we also know that for a lot of us, there's barriers, which we talked about in the beginning of this, to really getting into physical activity. Can you talk just a little more about your kind of philosophy and personal journey on around physical activity? You know, how was it modeled for you growing up? Where are you today? There been those ebbs and flows for you in your journey?
Yeah. So my philosophy right now is very heavily focused on just feeling good and
Mm,
focusing on all of the benefits that come from physical activity that have nothing to do with the way someone looks. And so for me, in my own personal fitness journey, what I learned was there was a moment, maybe about 5 years ago, where I woke up one day and I was like, I've never woken up a day in my life where I haven't thought I needed to lose weight. There's like never
mm,
been a day where I've woken up and felt like, oh, I'm good the way that I am. And because of that, a lot of my views of exercise were definitely viewed from the vantage point of punishment or trying to make myself smaller. And there was no other focus on when it came to fitness except for that. So when I actually took that step back and realized that, and then really tried to focus in on what other benefits could exercise bring me, it felt very freeing. And I realized that, oh, I actually sleep a lot better when I work out. I feel stronger and I feel more confident and capable when I'm lifting heavy things. And it has nothing to do with how many calories I burn, but just the fact that I move my body. Uh, and then the fact that like I want to be able to grow older and have less joint pain and I want to be able to get
Mm,
up and off the toilet on my own at 80 years old. Those were
listen.
things that, yes, things that we don't really think about, but that's going to be something that is important to us years down the road. And so I can focus on that in my own fitness journey instead of just those aesthetic goals.
I love that.
I love that you said years down the road. Listen, I'm at the road right now. I'm at the curb. I'm there. And it's like so true. I think that
Hmm.
was just like for some reason that aha moment for me.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
I think for me, I don't know. I wonder. Growing up, I was an athlete, and so I feel like what's been my on the fitness journey for me has been more about what you were saying, Carrie, about trying things that are hard. So I didn't necessarily equate it to like weight loss, although I agree with you. I've never had a day I don't think that I've woken up and not thought
Yeah.
about losing weight. But for me, fitness was more about like lean into things you're really good at. And for me, that was certain sports, and everything else felt like it like another world. So that part I think is challenging for a lot of people too, like who like to do things that they're only really good at.
Yeah, definitely. I was thinking about when I was in school, elementary school, middle school, I was never athletic, or at least I was never introduced to certain things when it came to fitness that I was good at. And so I always felt like, well, what's the point if I'm not actually good enough? If I'm not able to keep up with, Billy who's running this mile in 10
Right.
minutes and I'm
Oh
struggling
my
the whole
God.
time. Um, so I definitely, I came from a place of because I wasn't offered modifications, because no one was really
Mm,
talking about what do you do if it's harder for you than someone else? How can we make this how can we make you still feel successful in whatever exercises we're doing? It was definitely a struggle. I didn't grow up in an environment where I felt like fitness was fun or enjoyable.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely relate to that. It's interesting when you're thinking about, I spoke a little bit about, community and friends. I look on this, on these little boxes where we're all coming from different places and different generations. In my mind, I'm 52, and the conversations I'm having with my friends are a little bit different than they were when I was in my 30s and 40s. What conversations are your friends having, and how do you find community in the work that you're doing?
I think a lot of our conversations right now, for myself, I'm almost 30, and so a lot of our conversations are about like adulting is really hard. It's very stressful. Where are
Mm.
you
Yeah.
finding time
Hmm.
to? How are you, dealing with the stress of everything that comes with getting older? And for myself, as I said before, one of the things that I found was that being outside or just moving, stretching, that has become something that is like a non-negotiable. If I'm stressed, I've got to find a way to move my body. And so that's a conversation that I have with a lot of my friends, because it is easy to think of it as like, if I don't have the 2 hours to work out, what's the point? But we're learning that, like, actually, if you could just do 15 minutes, you're going to feel a lot better. And so we have a lot of those conversations. And I think that as I've gotten older, I've been a little bit more vocal about the way that I view fitness, and the fact that I'm very serious about, like, I don't want anyone to view it as something negative. And so even if my friends are talking negatively about it, I'm definitely getting quicker to, well, let's see how we can reframe that. Let's find something you are going to enjoy doing that's still moving your body.
Yes.
Girl, don't take that on for too long though. Don't, because there
There.
could be people, there could be people that fall off that train, and you're gonna be.
Mhm.
But no, I love that. I'm 27 also, or 28, and just kidding. Like,
I was like, you should have seen me. Listen, the audience, I'm like, wow, what
It's like,
happened? What happened here?
yeah, hold on to that. Don't go with almost 30 yet. Hold on to the
okay.
Don't
20 something
even
as long as you
say
can.
almost 30. Just
I'm
say,
trying
listen,
to.
I am in my 20s, and
Right,
listen, I don't know what y'all doing.
right.
I love it. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, please. That's our tip of the day.
Yeah,
Don't
Thank you
that's
so
be
my
so
tip
much.
of the
sweaty.
day. Hold on to the 20s, girl. Hold it as long as you can. How did you, so you talk about that narrative that you're kind of helping, and I'm joking when I say that, but it is true that sometimes people like won't accept it when you try to put that positive spin on things. How have how did you come to the place of kind of needing that new narrative, right? You talk about wanting to wake up and have other things on your mind, but kind of what sparked that for you, and like how did that start? That seems like a big shift that you made.
Yeah, I really couldn't tell you, other than the fact that I know that actually, yes, I can. Yes, I can. I started going to therapy. I started going to
Mm,
therapy, and my therapist made me actually talk things through and think about them. And so thinking about fitness making me happy, and she wanted me to delve deeper into, when do you feel happiest when you're working out? What are you thinking about? What is your goal that you're focusing on that makes you feel happy? And so that was probably my light bulb moment of being like, oh, actually, just feeling strong is what makes me feel happy in the gym. But when I'm focusing on the calories I'm burning, I'm not enjoying it as much. So it was definitely
right.
having someone in this professional field of like really being able to talk to me and pull out my feelings that helped me have that aha moment.
Oh, I love that. I Isn't that the best part of therapy, is like you're already doing the thing. You'd already identified the thing that made you feel really great. And it's just like that little prompt from her. And then you're like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
this does make me feel wonderful. Like help me unpack that.
That's right.
How did you get there? Because for me, I want to get there. I want, and I'm sure there are many people listening who want to see exercise and physical movement because maybe we've been there before and now we're like, I don't know if I can feel strong. I'm scared about going in and lifting a weight or lifting a barbell. You see all this like no extreme ways in order to get strong. And I just would love to hear what your thoughts are on that.
I think when you're trying to find joy in movement, I think it's helpful to take away all the rules. And so for me, when I first started really trying to focus on finding the joy, I did not walk into the gym with a set plan. And eventually I started actually writing things out and focusing a little bit more on specific things. But when I first walked in there, I was like, well, this technically is a playground. So let me see what I enjoy. Let me just test it all out and see what's fun. And I think the same can be said if you're trying to move outside of the gym as well. It's all about taking away the rules and just figuring out what you enjoy. Maybe it simply is like dancing around in your living room. Maybe it's outside taking a walk. Whatever it is, I think it's worth exploring and trying to have fun with it without feeling like I must complete this amount of time in the gym in order for it to be called fitness or to be called a workout.
I love that. I love that because in some ways, and we talked a little bit about that in our last episode about the blue zones, in the sense of just walking up a hill and just going for a walk is something that can make you feel good. And if you can find those small, I think we overcomplicate things. We think we have to do this or this. We have to go to a spin class. No, you don't have to. We also don't have to do a 5K. That pressure doesn't need to be there. It could just going outside and going for a walk.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah. The list will kill it for you. Well,
the list kills me. I stay in a list. I stay with a list.
Lists are killjoys.
Right.
So I'm so glad that you talked about your therapist and like that third person in the room with you sometimes. How does that show up for you with clients? I mean, I'm assuming you have clients who rub up against some of those same challenges. How do you help people kind of unpack that for themselves?
I think we joke about this a lot at the gym that, every client who walks in, I think that I'm becoming their trainer, but at the same time, we all come in with our baggage. And so sometimes it becomes a little bit of a therapy session as well. But I think that I'm very big on allowing or trying to create a space where someone can feel their feelings. And so walking into a gym or meeting with a personal trainer or trying to get back into fitness, all of those come with a lot of baggage, whether it be because you haven't worked out in a while and you're just a little nervous about it, or you had a very terrible experience the last time that you tried to work out. And so I really try to create a space where someone feels comfortable to say, I'm uncomfortable. This makes me nervous. I don't know if I feel ready for that exercise yet. And I immediately try to rush to help accommodate in some way, because I've been on the other side where I've had a trainer who I felt like didn't necessarily listen to me. And so I really try to show right from the start that I'm listening. A few of the other things that I like to do is there are no hard and fast rules. And so if there's an exercise that causes you pain, I'm immediately like, we're not even worried about that. We're going to move on because there are like 1,000 other exercises you can do that we can try and swap in to see how that feels. So I really just try and make it as unserious as possible, and also try and help my client to feel like they have the power to say, hey, actually, I don't know that I feel comfortable doing this. And I'm going to honor that, and I'll help them find other exercises.
And then if they say, I can't do any exercise, it's like the fifth one, you're like, okay, girl, come on.
All right.
Get on the mat.
When is it when? When is the when?
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. And I have had trainers that I had one who used to tap me a little bit and slightly hit, like a hit. He would hit me and or make me feel degrade me in some ways. And I mean, there's a part of me that felt, oh, okay, he's pushing me. He's just wanting me to like push myself. But then when you think about some of the shame and some of the embarrassment and some of the I felt, I didn't feel empowered to say, that's not okay. I'm not comfortable with that. And so I love that you leave space for your clients to feel safe, because I'm not sure that a lot of places, a lot of people and trainers do that.
Of course
Because
they
we
don't.
come
I feel like you're giving them the
well, but
benefits out. Yeah.
I actually, when you hire, when you say, hey, can you be my, and say, oh, I'm doing, you don't expect some of the abuse that sometimes comes with that.
Right. For
And then
sure.
you're already, as a woman of size, you're already coming in to a space in which you may feel uncomfortable, almost like an imposter. People are
Right.
looking at you.
Yeah.
And then you add the, you could do more. It's it's just
Much.
it's a lot. It's a lot.
I think I kind of want to add on to that, because there are times from the start, I really try to help my client unpack what feels like what feels like pain, what feels like this is a challenge, but maybe I should go just a little further. Because if you come in with a specific goal, say trying to get up the New York subway steps or something like that, then maybe it's uncomfortable because you feel your heart rate rising a little bit, but maybe we do have to go just maybe 2 more reps, further than what you think you can. Not because I want you to be huffing and puffing at the end, but because we're trying to build endurance. And so those are
Yeah.
literally the words that I use with someone, because I want you to know I'm not trying to make you pass out. I don't want to see that. I want you to feel strong. I want you to leave feeling like, oh, I worked really hard, but not like I don't want to come back. But sometimes we do have to figure out, am I uncomfortable just because it's a little challenging, or am I uncomfortable because I really need to stop?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think you're so unique in being at a gym that kind of puts that at the forefront. I've seen a couple gyms in LA here too that, like, before you even enter, you have to kind of read their credo and how they feel about fitness and how they feel about inclusion. And I think that is really important. Understanding what the business, at the end of the day, the business that you're supporting and you're going to stand for, and what that means for you, I think is so important. Like, Tanya, you're right, and you and I are different, because if someone came over and was like tapping me and it was bordering on hitting, there would be a
It was a
whole
hit. It was a
there would
hit.
be
It was a
there would
hit.
be a whole lawsuit.
No.
They'd be hit with a
Well,
lawsuit.
well, but you do kind of, in many different aspects, we do give people and go, okay, they're just thinking we're the best of us. They don't, they want to push us. They want to
Yeah.
make, and I did lose weight. Was able to do more. I'm like, but it's probably not,
Yeah.
there are times that I didn't want to go,
Right.
and because I didn't want to face that and I didn't want to deal with that.
I used to go to a boot camp where the guy would give burpees like demerits. Like, if you missed a class, first of all, I'm paying for these classes. Let's just be
Right.
honest. And this is a group
Right.
class. This is a group class. This was not a one-on-one like session. If I missed a class, he'd write your name on the chalkboard with like 10 burpees or something. And then when you'd come back, you'd have to like do these. And I will not let someone tell me I can't do something. So I went in one time and I'd been on vacation. I had 50 burpees, and I did the whole boot camp and then did the 50 burpees and then couldn't lift my purse for like 4 days. And I was like, girl, what were you trying to prove to this man that you already paid money? But sometimes if you have an idea of what people in the gym look like and you don't fit that, you already feel like you're at a disadvantage. So you're like, how am I going to prove, or I can't say anything, or they're going to think I'm saying this just because I'm X and I can't do it or whatever.
Yeah. It truly is like a
Yeah.
punishment.
Right.
Feeding
that narrative.
Right. And that's not right. For someone who works in a space that's inclusive, it's easy. But for people who are listening, who are having a hard time walking into that yoga class, what are some things that some advice that you can give them?
I think the first thing I want to say is, while I am very privileged to have that inclusive space, myself and some of my other coworkers, we choose sometimes to go to another gym to work out. And we walk into these box gyms, and it sometimes feels like a slap in the face because you realize you are not in your safe space anymore.
Right.
And so I think that some of the things that I've done, one of them is the fact that I try to go with someone else. That's not always possible. We don't all have somebody that we can go to the gym with. And I recognize that that is not always doable. But if you can, I definitely suggest that. I also try and remember that when I'm in the gym, I'm not looking at anybody else. I'm like so focused on what I'm doing. And maybe even a little bit like, I wonder if somebody's looking at me, but I'm never looking around. And so I try to remember that that's probably what other people are doing too. We're all kind of selfish that way, where we're really only worried about if someone is looking at us, but we're not usually looking at other people. And so I like to give others the benefit of the doubt as well, that they're probably not looking at me. And then I'm learning how to do things scared, to like be a little nervous and still do the thing, because I feel so much like more powerful. And I think I stand up a little straighter when I walk away from doing something that I was really nervous to do and I just did it anyways. And so I definitely sometimes walk into a space and I'm like, I don't know. I don't see anybody else who looks like me. I'm not sure how people are going to perceive me. And I'm determined to just try and walk in anyways. Finding a
Yeah.
corner helps. Finding a corner of the gym helps. Sometimes you don't want to stand right in the middle in front of everyone. So I'm a big fan of doing that as well.
Yeah. In spin classes, I always sat in the back row.
Yeah,
It's
That's
just
right.
what makes me most comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
What is your advice for people who are wanting to start? Where do you advise that they start?
I think my first advice would be to find your why, find your reason. Um, like I said earlier, maybe it's the subway steps or getting up and down from the toilet, or maybe it's less back pain or to sleep better. Whatever your reason is that you want to start moving more, figure out what that is. And then I think literally that same day you should move in some way. I think that instead of looking to start on Monday or the next day, you have motivation right now. And we all know that motivation doesn't last. And so I think that you need to take advantage of it. And even if it's 10 minutes, move in some way. Take a walk, dance, if you're not able to go to the gym, get some stretching in, something like that. But take advantage of the motivation that you have right away. And that's your day one. And then from there, you've already done day one. So now we're ready to just kind of add on. Maybe we add 5 more minutes on and we go to the gym, or we stay home. But baby steps. But I really think you first have to figure out your why.
Love that.
Mm-hmm.
What's the why? What is
I
the why? And
oh, sorry. Go ahead, Tanya.
no, go. No, go.
I
No.
was going to ask another question about just when you talk about like the subway steps and things like that. I mean, that resonates with Tanya and I because we both have lived in New York. And so we get that. I was moving into a 5-story walk up and I was like, girl, you better get ready for
Mm-hmm.
that. So that was like a big thing for me. Can you talk about, you moved from Texas to New York, what the changes were for you in terms of kind of that everyday fitness piece? Was there a mind shift there? Just because I know in California coming back, it's like your longest walk sometimes is like to your car in the parking lot. And so
Pretty
you've got to
much.
be way more intentional about fitting it in versus New York. I could get 12,000 steps just going to work and back.
Yeah. I was not prepared. I was not prepared at all because I had the same thing in Texas. You're walking from your car to your garage and back and forth, and you're finding the closest parking spot you can because we're not trying to walk. We're trying to go straight from one to the other. So when I got here, there was a lot of walking involved. Both from the subway and just walking in general. Everyone is walking here, and so I immediately started trying to add cardio into my workouts. because I'm someone who finds the most joy from lifting. And so it was definitely hard for me to even find cardio enjoyable because I just didn't like it. So I started trying to implement circuit training because it was like, it's really, really tough and then I can rest. And then it's really tough and then I can rest. And so when I started doing that and finding joy in it, that was relieving. And then it also helped me to feel a little bit more prepared for life in New York. Yeah.
Right.
I'm interested. I've always sort of shied away from lifting. For some reason, whether it feels intimidating or I don't want to bulk up, it's usually in my head. I think there are some myths that people have in their head associated with, using weights and so forth. I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah. One of the biggest ones that I hear a lot is, especially from women who say something similar to what you just said, like you don't want to bulk up, right? And I think that's totally understandable. And one of the first things that I'll tell you is that none of us have enough testosterone in our body to actually bulk up to the point that you're thinking of. And so when you're lifting, it's physically not possible, especially with the amount that we're probably eating and lifting. You're not going to bulk up. You might see a little muscle, which should be a good thing because that means that you're like getting stronger. But you're not going to bulk up. And then I think the other thing that I hear a lot of is that lifting is dangerous, or that you could injure yourself. And while that's true, you also could injure yourself just walking down the street. You could injure yourself by bending over to pick something up the wrong way in everyday life. And so how much better would it be? Unfortunately, that's probably happened to all of us where we've like bent down and then you're like, oh.
It happened. Listen, it happened 2 weeks ago or a couple weeks ago. I think I was just walking and fell in the middle of my washroom for no reason. I mean, that's like, it was, and literally, it was like, oh, okay. But yeah, it happens to us regardless. Yeah. And we get so focused on hurting ourselves or injuring ourselves, but yet we can injure ourselves in many ways, just doing regular household chores.
Yes. And so the goal is then that when you're lifting, I'm going to use deadlift as an example. When we're deadlifting, the goal is to learn how to pick things up off the ground without hurting ourselves. So that when we go into our laundry room or something like that, and you bend over to pick up that basket of clothing, there's no chance of you hurting yourself because you already know how to do it. I am a clumsy person, and lifting has actually taught me how to fall gracefully. Because it still happens every once in a while where I like miss my step. But I feel like I'm more in control of my body after learning how to lift. So it definitely
I will say
is safe.
I fell less when I did break. And please don't look at me, Jessica, like you still fall in every 5 minutes. But I did. I used to fall. I mean, my best friend will say, I would just walk a step and just be like on the ground. But I did some semblance of exercise and weightlifting on my lower body, and I felt a little bit stronger.
Talk about that soft life. Taking steps a little bit slower sometimes necessary.
Maybe that's the issue. That soft life. Keri's like, what is this soft life?
Tell me.
Are you familiar with soft life, Keri?
I mean, I think so. Tell me what soft life is.
So we had someone come on and she was telling us about kind of this, just literally going through life softer.
Yeah.
When you're walking around and you're pressed for time and you're pushing and then you realize like, I'm just doing this for myself. There's no reason I need to be this tight, this tense, moving this quick, like just be softer. And she talked about kind of those cues and even those everyday things in life, those cues about be softer, like carry through your whole life. So then you're softer on yourself. And we talked about as Black women, obviously there's so much pressure and there's so many projections on us about being strong, being hard, and it was this idea that like you can release that and you can be soft and kind of embrace that softness.
I love that.
And I realized it this weekend. It was so funny. I was in the airport And I was like, I caught myself marching and I was like, girl, where are you going?
Slow down.
You are
Soft
not
life.
late. You are not late. No one's waiting for you. You are on a trip by yourself. Like, why are you marching through here? Like I was on a race. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to take my time. Soft life. And I just slowed down.
Mm.
Actually, I think was breathing for the first time. Like so many of us at Keri, I would love to hear your take on that with the physical activity piece. I think breath for me is such a big deal. Like I remember when I first started working out with Maureen and she was like, great rep or set or whatever. And she's like, but you like didn't breathe the entire time. And I was like,
Me
what?
either. I never breathe.
She was like, you were not breathing. I'm like, cool. Can you talk about just how you work in those other pieces, right? The breath control, the negative self-talk. How do you address those with some of your clients too?
Yeah, I think as soon as I start working with somebody, I'm really big on talking about how does your body feel today? How are you feeling today? Because we all go through our lives on this like autopilot mode, and we're just booking it. We're rushing from here to there and barely have time to remember, have we even eaten or taken a sip of water today? So we're not in tune with our bodies. So any client that I'm working with, I'm very big on trying to help them to be a little bit more aware of how their body is feeling. And then also when it comes to the movements, how are they breathing? And I relate it all back to we want to show up as our strongest self. And so breathing during our reps of every exercise is going to make you feel stronger. It's going to
Right.
make you more capable. You're not going to pass out. That's a plus.
Right.
But it's something that nobody's really thinking about because you're, again, still in this like speeding through life phase. And so you're like trying to get through the set as fast as you can. But what I want you to do is slow it down and breathe and be present in the exercise and in the session. So it's something that we have a lot of conversations about, but it's just so that everyone is able to be aware of their bodies at all times and how they're feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's next for you, Keri? It sounds like there's a 5K coming up and some more lifting competitions. I'd love to hear what's next.
What is next for me is, yeah, both of those things. I've been really trying to find joy in running and jogging. And so I've decided that I want to do a 5K and I'm excited about that. And I was able to convince some people to join me so I can do it with a support system. And then I also would love to compete again powerlifting this year. So that's my goal towards the end of the year. And then as far as the gym is concerned, I'm really excited. We've been trying to make ourselves more available to offer more classes. And we have one class right now where we're working specifically with a lot of women who are in larger bodies. And it's been amazing. It's been amazing to be in a room with people who you really relate to. And you can ask whatever questions you want to, and you can, say the things. One of the things that I like to say is like, if your squat is a little narrow, open, widen the stance, let your belly through, like things like that no other trainer is really
Love
thinking
it.
about. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I've been really enjoying that class, and we're excited to keep doing it.
Do you do any offerings virtual? I know at some point you may have been. Do you do virtual offerings?
At this time, I'm not offering any virtual sessions. I did previously, but right now I'm trying
I'm
to.
thinking about myself personally. Honestly, it was. I mean, I'm not talking about.
I'm gonna quote the soft life on that one. And for myself, I think I've decided I need to just focus on in person clients right
Yes.
now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Look, good.
that
So
makes.
look, you sometimes with Tanya, you got to create. One of our guests was like, "Look, you got to create boundaries
Listen.
sometimes."
Listen. Don't be shocked if you don't get an email
Yeah,
going.
don't tempt her.
How about a quick Zoom? Can we
Right.
do a quick Zoom real quick?
I
That's
love
not
it.
great enough boundaries. Well, I thank you so much for joining us. I think I just want to acknowledge that, like, I joked earlier about your age. I wish I had the clear head and open heart and just self-love that you are stepping
Yeah.
into and you were finding when I was 30. It honestly is like, it's beautiful. And I am so,
Yeah.
I'm just so honored that you're here with us. We really appreciate it. And I know everyone will get so much out of this.
Thank you. I really appreciate that as well. It's been wonderful just chatting. It really does feel like a phone call. I love it.
I
I
know.
know. Yeah.
We got to take
You
the
know,
show.
we
Maybe we'll take the show on the road. We'll come to New
to
York.
Brooklyn. We need to just do it in New
Ooh.
York. I'm ready to do it in New York. But, we've occasionally asked our guests, what does girl call me mean to them? And love to hear what you think when you think of girl call me for your personal self, for your personal
Mhm.
life.
Yeah. I actually said this to Maurit after talking with the two of you last time. Girl call me literally does feel like a phone call. It feels like I'm calling my big sisters and they're going to give me some advice and they're going to listen to me and we're going to vent together and brainstorm together. But it feels very much like the safe space to say all the things and to feel all the feels. And so I really appreciate that.
Oh, I
Yes.
love
Thank
that. Yeah,
you.
Tanya
I
feel
do.
like a big sister to me too because she's my
Right.
elder.
Auntie, am I just auntie? Am I just auntie for everybody? That's fine.
We're both 28,
Right.
so yes.
Yes, exactly. Remember, I'm still 28.
Mhm. Right. And you know what? Listen, I look 28, so I might as well
Okay,
join the
girl.
club.
Aging
That's
well.
Listen,
right. That's
aging
right.
well. Aging well. We did talk about black not cracking in our last episode.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, Keri, we are super grateful and we will make sure to share all of your information so everyone can follow you. But I hope you return. I hope you return after that 5K and after those competitions because we would love to hear, and I'm sure our audience would love to hear an update.
Thank you. Sounds good.
Hey, it's Jessica. Thanks for listening to Girl Call Me. If you have something to add or a story to share, come on over to Instagram or Facebook and join the conversation. Also, make sure you follow and subscribe Girl Call Me. You don't want to miss when we release new episodes. Thanks for listening.